Now we're going to go to the second page of the registration form, which is the participant status upon entry into the program. And basically this form has all the profile information of the student. So it's divided by 4 different columns. The first one entails disabilities, veteran status, and employment. And that's where we're going to begin. So disability status, as you can see there, it shows you do you have any physical or mental impairment to substantially limits one or more of your major life activities. If the student decides that they do have that, make sure that it is something that has been identified by a professional, not just something that the student thinks they have. The students also have the option to not disclose this information, and that is completely okay. Then we have below that learning disability status. That is something that the student can think they have, but also we have to have a professional response to this. So if the student says they have dyslexia, it has to be proven by a professional. And we do not need proof of this, but it is still something that the state wants us to have. So like in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and put no on both of these ones. And on the veteran status, it is a basic question. Have you ever served in the United States Armed Forces and discharged or released from such service under conditions other than dishonorable? If the student says yes, then you must follow up with the follow-up questionnaire. And I forgot to mention at the beginning, there is three different questions in this page that may trigger a follow-up questionnaire, and they are marked with an asterisk. One of them is the veteran status, the other one is disability status, and the third one is this one right here for employed in agriculture or fish farming labor. So those could trigger a follow-up questionnaire, and the statement, you can see it in this section right here. So in this case, I'm just gonna say no to I'm not a veteran, and also no to I'm not the spouse of someone who has served in the United States Armed Forces. So now we get to the employment status, and it's pretty simple. So if you are employed, you're gonna mark employed and put how many hours, and if you are not employed or employed but recently received a notice of termination, you will then mark this option. You also have the option for employed but will separate within 12 months. So if you know that you will separate from your job within that period, you can mark that one. Or you're just definitely not employed, or maybe you're not employed for more than 27 consecutive weeks. You can actually have these two options marked, and that it's okay. But you cannot have, for example, employed and then not employed for more than 27 consecutive weeks. That's not an acceptable question. So in this case, I'm just going to answer for myself. I'm employed and I work approximately 40 hours per week. Only if the student is not in labor force or not employed, not looking for work. And with not employed, not looking for work, we mean like never looking for work. Then you will have to select a reason why you're not looking for work. If the reason is full-time caregiver, you will just select one of these ones. If it's none of the ones we currently have in this section, you can just select other and write down your answer, I'm sorry. We're going to the second column. So in the last 24 months, were you or your parent/guardian ever employed in agriculture or fish farming labor? In this case, for me, the answer is no. If you're not sure of this question, you can go ahead and get more guidance contacting us directly to our office. Do you live in a rural or urban location? So rural is basically a place of less than 2,500 inhabitants and located outside urbanized areas or city areas. So in this case, I live in the city area, so I am an urban is my answer. Previous schooling, this section is very important because we get a lot of students who confuse this section or the way the questions are written here. So basically how you begin is, what is the highest grade you have completed, regardless if it was here in the US or outside of the US. So for me, that question will be 12. That's the highest grade I completed, and I actually completed it outside of the US, but most of our students, unless they are ESLs, will have it completed here in the US. Only if a student did not complete any grades, please go ahead and select no grades completed. The unknown option is here, but we really don't have this option in Teams, so please go ahead and not use it. There will be another update to these forms. As soon as we get it, this option will no longer be there, and you will be made aware of this. Schooling number 2, high school graduate. In this case, I am a high school graduate, and I completed it outside of the US. Most of our students is going to be in the US, as I just mentioned, but just please make sure that you understand what is the high school graduate. Is the regular route through high school, not a high school equivalency like the GED or any of the new tests that have been released. Point number 3 on education will be high school equivalency. This is the section where you will answer if you have an education that equals to high school, for example, the GED, or HiSET or TASC. So if you do have high school equivalency, go ahead and please mark yes, but just remember that if you already have a high school graduate, most commonly in very rare cases, you will have somebody that has a high school graduate and also a high school equivalency, and that might have happened because their school was completed outside of the US, and when they came over here, instead of evaluating their high school, they just went ahead and took the GED. So for me in this case, it will be no, and I don't have to check mark any of these ones. If you attended college or any other any other technical training, you will just go ahead and check mark anyone that is applicable for you. And if it was here in the US, just go ahead and mark that. If it was outside of the US, please go ahead and put the description as stated on these questions. So we're going to now go to the third column, and this is first question is of public assistance. So if you do receive any of the public assistance here in this section, please go ahead and check mark all of the ones that apply. If none of them apply, please make sure that you select none of these apply to me, or if they apply but you do not wish to disclose, you can actually select that one option, but make sure that you are completing this. You cannot leave it blank. Most of the questions in this area have to have an answer. Very rare cases like the one on the GED, HiSET and TASC, or the college, because they are not applicable. They may not be applicable to you. In this case, it asks about foster care youth. I am not a foster kid, so my answer will be no. And also other statuses that may apply, you can select as many as they apply to you. In this case, none of these apply to me, so I will just select none of these apply to me. And are you an immigrant? On this section, be careful. The students sometimes think that immigrant means somebody without documents, but this is just a regular immigration question, whether you were born in another country and you relocated here, that is considered an immigrant, not the fact that you can be legal or not in a country. So I am an immigrant. Children section. You can check all that apply. In this case, I do not have children's, but if you do, please go ahead and check mark if you have any within the ages in these sections, or if you do not wish to disclose, you also have that option. Do you currently resign? How do you say this?
Reside.
Do you currently reside in one of the following types of facilities? In this case, none of these apply to me. Also, are you currently on parole or probation? Neither one of these apply to me. Are you a participant in one of the following programs? Also, none of these apply to me, but it may be applicable for some of your students, so please make sure that you are checking each box one by one on these sections. And I'm just gonna say I was not referred by anybody on the referral type, so none of these ones will apply to me. And this will complete the participant, the status upon entry into the program, or as I also know it, the second page of registration.